Hungary, like Turkey, might have a name that is often turned into a wordplay related joke, but what they also have in common with Turkey is a recent surge in stadium building. With that being said, here are the OTP Bank Liga stadiums. Nagyades Stadium was part of that surge in stadium building, as were most in this league. It was built on the site of the club's old ground. Wow, this really is an upgrade of Harry Potter proportions. You know, because he went from living in the cupboard under the stairs to living in a castle. This is made from lighter materials than Hogwarts is. The facade and the roof in particular consist of a fabric, which can look a little flimsy in some areas, but it does allow for plenty of light to filter through into this asymmetrical seating bowl. It's looking good. DVTK Stadion. This roof is clearly made of sturdier materials, as some spectators are actually able to walk on one section of it during the game, which is pretty cool. This stadium wasn't entirely built from scratch. The Sunnyside stand, this one here, is actually a remnant of the old stadium, albeit a relatively recent addition to the old stadium. That's not uncommon to incorporate an old stand into a new stadium, but in this instance, you can hardly tell. It has been blended in well. Sostoy Stadion was initially going to be built around the pre-existing main stand. However, they had to demolish it due to structural issues. So this is an entirely new stadium, which is a bit of a shame, I guess. You know, I'm sure they could have duct taped over the cracks and it would have still had a few good years left in it. The unforeseen demolition also caused a 1-year delay to construction. But all that is in the past, and the club have themselves yet another top-notch modern stadium. Groupama Arena. Before you even step foot inside this stadium, there are a couple of features that stand out. Most notably, there's a larger-than-life statue of an eagle, seemingly attempting to puncture a football with its talons. Thankfully, that football is made of metal, but still I think it sets a bad example to other eagles. The partially see-through facade of this stadium is also made of metal. This was seemingly the build that started the great Hungarian stadium construction frenzy of the 2010s, which is not all that surprising considering that Ferencváros is the country's biggest football club. It's also fittingly the biggest stadium in the league. Sektoy Stadion. A decade ago, this would have been par for the course in this league. However, nowadays, it is certainly an outlier, both in terms of it having a running track around the field, and also the fact that the facilities are aging. It's not a very big city, to be fair. The seats here don't match the purple and white colour scheme of the club, they match the colour scheme of the club that played here previously, a club called KFC. Weirdly, they didn't wear red and white, and there's no smiling old man in a suit on their crest either. Mezőkövesdi Városi Stadion. The stadium was given a major renovation in 2016, surprise surprise, and it must have given the home club a bit of a boost in morale, because they were promoted to the top flight that very year. After all, that renovation did bring the stands, ergo the fans, closer to the field, but in actuality the expansion started just after they were promoted a few years prior. They were relegated in the meantime, and were promoted again shortly after it was completed. Valkerti Stadion. The name of this city, Kisvárda, means small castle. The name of the stadium, Valkerti, means castle garden. So you would have hoped for some castle-related design elements at this stadium. Nope, it's nothing like a castle. I'm not complaining though. Those red walls that wrap their way around the interior of the stadium are quite striking. Just nothing but red. In fact, I wonder if we can use it as a green screen, but a red one. Oh, would you look at that? Cool. That looks really... Oh, he seems like a nice man. We're back in the capital at Hidegkuti Nando Stadion, a ground that you'd assume is bigger than it is, if you were looking at it from street level. The reason for that is that there is only seating along the sidelines. I mentioned the bright red walls of the last stadium, well, it's the exact opposite here. There is exposed concrete everywhere, including a big wall at each end. Which I like just as much, mainly because you could play a game of tennis by yourself. It also made for a good surface in which to mount these big screens, on which you could play a game of tennis by yourself, provided you can hook up the PlayStation. I don't know why I keep talking about tennis. Pancho Arena is one of the most extraordinary stadiums in Europe, in the world for that matter. But there is a bit of a dark side to it. It's located in Feldshut, a village of less than 2,000 people. A village that happens to be the childhood home of Viktor Orban, who's been Hungary's Prime Minister since 2010. And the companies that provided funding for the stadium were awarded big government contracts afterwards. Anyway, putting that aside, it is a beautiful stadium. The exterior is inspired by traditional Hungarian architecture, as is the interior to a lesser extent. I love the use of timber throughout and the unique ways in which it's been implemented. But yeah, this stadium does look comically out of place in such a small village. Yeah, it's a very peaceful village, you know. There's a church, there's a town hall, there's a small general store and not much. Oh no, we got this stadium that costs tens of millions of dollars. That's good as well. Fehérvári Úti Stadion. Pax, the town this stadium's located in, is home to Hungary's only nuclear power plant. So it is quite fitting that the seats are done up in a vibrant shade of green, provided that The Simpsons gave an accurate portrayal of the goings-on within a nuclear power plant. Anyway, this is a no-frills design compared to the last one, but it still has everything you need. Also, everything is no frills compared to the last one. French Stadion. Having opened in 1922, this is the oldest stadium in the league. In its early days, there was a velodrome around the field. But ever since the great Hungarian bicycle shortage of the mid-20th century, this has no longer hosted cycling. No, but the stadium has suffered from some real disasters. In the latter stages of World War II, a lot of the timber from the stands was taken by people who were struggling to get by due to the war. To make matters worse, a huge flood damaged the pitch. Nowadays, of course, none of that history is visually apparent. It's a pristine modern stadium. ZTE Arena is situated in the city of Zalaegerszeg, which is in Zala County, and is situated on the banks of the Zala River. Man, they love the letter Z in this place. Or as the Americans would say, the letter Z. I believe in Hungarian it's pronounced Zay. And that was today's alphabet rundown. Tune in tomorrow where we'll discuss the letter C. Do we really need it? And why is T making a comeback? And no, I'm not talking about the drink. So there you have it. My favourite stadium in the league has got to be Pancho Arena. Putting aside its dubious origins, it is an architectural wonder. Please subscribing if not you have already. Thanks for watching, have a good one.